Hey, it took me a few seconds to get set up after turning this thing on. So, anyway, today is day 23 of 100 Days with Jesus, and the focus chapter today is Mark chapter 7. So, um, this is one that is, sorry about some of the technical difficulties, but anyway, this is one where Jesus, he some new material. It's not one that's been covered by one of the other gospels that we've covered so far. It's new stuff. So it's Mark chapter 7. And in Mark 7, Jesus is being, he's being come after again by the scribes and the Pharisees. Because they noticed that, his disciples are not, they're not washing their hands like they do before they eat, the same way they do, ritualistically. They did it. We do a lot of that for hygiene reasons, but they had certain spiritual reasons they would do the different things, and they had their different made up, man made laws that they had based on God's law, but they had taken God's law and just made all these other extra laws, and well, that was one of them. And I mean, it was a really bad thing, apparently, if you didn't do that. When they came after Jesus for the fact that his disciples were not doing that. And Jesus was like, well, you truly are like what Isaiah the prophet said. The people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far, far from me. They worship me in vain, teaching as doctrines the commands of men. It says, but you disregard the command of God. And just for an example, God commanded that we should honor our father and our mother. And in their beliefs and what they taught and their practices, they said, well, if you have a vow that you've made to God that you've got to do such and such, well, then you're released from the need to provide for the needs of your parents if they're in need at some other point. It's like, oh, I've already committed myself to God. I've already committed this to God. I can't help you. And he's saying, well, you're saying that's okay, when yet the command of God is to honor your father, to honor your mother, not to put your own man-made whatever above that. So, going further into Mark chapter 7, Jesus goes on and says, hey, it's not what a person puts into his body, it's not the food as much that defiles the body, as much as what comes out of the heart. It's not so much about what you put in as much as what comes out of you and what comes out of your heart, and the heart from which it comes from. He says, and his disciple, and it says, nothing that goes into a person from the outside can defile him, but the things that come from out of a person are what defile him. And his disciples, they ask him later on, what does that mean? What do you mean by this parable? And he said to them, are you also lacking understanding? Don't you realize that nothing going into a man from the outside can defile him, for it doesn't go into the heart, but into the stomach and passes through the man. Then he said, what comes out of a person is what defiles him. For from within the heart, a person's heart, come evil thoughts, come adulteries, come greed, come evil actions, come sexual immoralities, come thefts, come murders, come promiscuity, stinginess, blasphemy, pride, and foolishness. All these evil things come from within and defile a person. And that's how that's how people are defiled, is from what's coming from inside their heart. So later on, further in the chapter, there was a woman that came to him from Syro-Phoenician descent. She was from the region of Tyre and Sidon, and she was a Syro-Phoenician lady. And she came to him and said, Jesus, my daughter, she needs to be delivered from this demon. Please, can you help me? And Jesus says to her, well, I've got to take care of the children before I take care of anyone else. And referring to his own people, the Jewish people, the Israeli people, the people of Israel being the children of Abraham. I got to take care of them first. But she said, with such great wisdom, she says, but even the dogs, they need the scraps. I mean, of course, Jesus didn't look at them as dogs. But she said, based on that line, allow the children to be satisfied first, but because it isn't right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs, as what Jesus said. But then she replied to him, Lord, the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs. And she's like, even if I just got some crumbs, my daughter can be delivered from this demon. And then he told her, because of this reply, you may go. The demon has gone out of your daughter. When she went back to her home, she found her child lying on the bed, and the demon was gone. And then they go, and they're leaving the region of Tyre. He went by way of Sidon to the Sea of Galilee through the region of the Decapolis. They brought to him a deaf man who also had a speech difficulty, a speech impediment, and begged Jesus to lay his hand on him. So he took him away from the crowd privately, and after putting his fingers into the man's ears and spitting, he touched his tongue, and then looked up to heaven, and he sighed deeply and said to him, Ephphatha, which is Aramaic for be opened. And immediately his ears were opened, and his speech difficulty was removed, and he began to speak clearly. Then he ordered them to tell no one, but the more he would order them, the more they would proclaim it. They were extremely astonished and said, he has done everything well. He even makes the deaf people to hear and people unable to speak to talk. He does everything well. His name is Jesus. He heals the sick. He makes the deaf hear again, the mute to speak again. He makes the demon-possessed free from their demons. He teaches well. He teaches about the heart of the matter is the matter of the heart. You can change all these different, you can read all the self-help books and listen to that smiling preacher from Houston. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, maybe he can help you with some things, but he can't help the heart. Only God can help the heart. The self-help stuff only helps so much. You can't really help yourself like only God can. You can't help yourself like only Jesus can. Jesus can heal the heart. He can help you where it matters most. The matter of the heart. The heart of the matter is the matter of the heart. He can help there. And he can heal all the other things that we need healing too. He can help all the things that we need help with too. His name is Jesus. All the things he does is well. I love that verse. He does all things well. That's found toward the end of Mark chapter 7. I encourage you to read Mark 7 for yourself. I encourage you to read the whole Gospel of Mark. We've been bouncing back and forth between Mark and Matthew. Mark is kind of like an action-packed gospel. It has the word immediately, constantly, all throughout the whole thing. Because immediately Jesus is doing this. Immediately Jesus is doing it. It's action-packed. It's told from Peter, who seemed to be rather ADHD-like. Always sticking his foot in his mouth, always running his mouth. Kind of like an ADHD type person, right? Not saying anything bad about that, because God used Peter in a mighty, mighty way. And he can use you too. I don't care what background you come from. I don't care how bad off you've been, how bad off you are. He can use you. He can touch you. He can heal your heart. And then from the overflow of your heart, your mouth can speak, your life can live, your deeds can do so many great and wondrous things that only he can help you to do that are done from the heart. Anyway, blessings to you. Be blessed tonight. And whenever it is that you find this, be blessed. Tune in for more later on.